Here you go, you're on. Okay, Ernest Johnson, how are you today?
I'm doing great, man.
A surprise visit from somebody from Facebook, and we've been trying to hook up for the last 2 years now, and finally the day has come.
Yes, it is.
I invited you up here to speak a little bit about yourself, where you were born, some of your musical experiences, what has made you play drums, how many gigs you do a week, who you study with. You seem like a very happy spirit. So let's talk about where you were born. We're not going to give your age away, so don't worry about it. Okay, so, all right. Where were you born, Ernest?
I was born in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Okay, and that says a lot in itself, you know?
Yes.
The whole environment is music.
Yes, it is.
Okay, and let's talk about that. How you know, obviously when you weren't 2 years old, 3 years old, but from the time you started to hang out outside on the streets there and listen to all the musicians, something has inspired you. Like what?
Well, my family were all musicians, and basically my whole neighborhood was musicians, and my mother was the one who got me started. As far as playing drums, I had to play for my family, and we always just had a good time playing music, you know, whether it was at my house, my friend's house, and everyone had an instrument. My first instrument was a clarinet, and I didn't like playing that because, well, I didn't like walking down the street with such a little bitty case, and all my friends had trombones and things, so I gave that up real quick.
So, you know, you didn't have, you said to me before we're making the video, you had no formal training.
None at all.
But I'd say your training was a lot better than most formal training because you had the first-hand experience of seeing the musicians and talking to musicians and asking questions.
That's true.
That's a form of studying and getting some inside tips.
That's true, man. Just not only talking to them, but I also observed everything that they was doing close, right up there. We have some fantastic drummers in New Orleans, and fortunately, I was able to sit with some.
Well, when you first picked up a drum, what was it, a marching drum, a snare drum?
It was a snare drum. Most bands in New Orleans, it was all about the snare and the bass, which was individually carried. You know, one guy carried the bass, one guy carried the snare, and that's how we started our parades. That was the percussion session. You know, the bass drum with the one cymbal on it, or the hanger wire you hit that with to get the little ring, and one guy with the snare just marching away.
And you played. Can you remember the first song that you've ever learned complete?
Yes.
What was
it? It was actually it was just when we would march down the street. It was a song Iko Monday, Giacomo Fina Anane, Giacomo Finane. You may have heard the Meters do that.
Yeah,
yes, that's the old song we played.
You know, there's a cultural thing there. I hear, it's not one type of music, but it's a mixture of many music.
Yes, because, you have Zydeco, which is, there's a French connection going on in New Orleans. There's a Indian connection going on in New Orleans. I'm going to say Indian, I'm talking about, we're talking like the Indians that settled in Louisiana, like the Chippewa, the Chapatoulas.
Right, the American Indians.
Yeah, and which they probably had awesome drummers, and the beats, the rhythms, they merged, and we're talking.
Yeah, well, you see all these different things, and it gets a little confusing, but it's also a very interesting place to be, learning all these different things and calling it what you want.
Yes,
and that's one of the reasons. Well, one of the big reasons why I'm going to do what I do and try to straighten out the language.
Okay.
Let's talk about some of the drumming language that originated in New Orleans.
Okay.
For example, the term second line drumming.
Second line drumming.
What does that mean?
Second line is a celebration. It's not that drumming is behind anything. We had during Mardi Gras time, there was each neighborhood had a small band. Some of them they were like, we call Indians. We had the Wild Chapatoulas, we had the Magnolias, and each band had its own little rhythm. You could hear the drum. It would just be like a tom beating, boom, 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 boom. And these bands would march along the neighborhoods frequently, in and out of the neighborhoods, playing rhythm. And what the second line was people would come out and follow these bands and dancing, enjoy, having a good time. Second line has nothing to do with where the drumming is or the music is. It's just an expression for party.
You see, a lot of people think second line drumming is you're second in line, you're behind the
Wrong. Has nothing to do with that. Nothing at all. It's all about having a good time. If you hear somebody say, hey, there's a second line going around the corner, drop what you're doing. We're going to go have a good time.
That's the second line.
That's the second line.
All right, so there's actually no technical reason why I do a lot of second line drumming.
I don't think you ever hear anybody from New Orleans say that.
Well, you hear a lot of people from up here say that. Well, we're going to the roots. You know, that's where it started from, and you know, it should be straightened out.
Yeah.
Second line drumming is not drumming that you're behind the trumpet player or the sax player or the clarinet player. So you're second in line. It's second line like you described, and I think that's a cool thing, you know.
Yeah, it is.
But some of the origins of music, the mixtures of music, the term fusion was not involved there, but fusion meaning a mixture of different musics and cultures. And what I'm really love from New Orleans, other than all the stuff that it's given us, is jazz, the bebop, the straight ahead jazz, and the Marcellus family.
Yeah.
Where do they come from?
They're from New Orleans, uptown. I think the 7th Ward. The whole family is awesome. Yeah.
And well, you have a relationship with them? Knowing them just first line?
Only seeing them appear at different places. I remember Quentin when he was younger, you know, during that time, not knowing that he would be what he is today. But, you know, you knew that they all were special. There were certain families like the Baptistes and you know, the Nevers. There was something special about those families. Yeah. Sarah Neville was a good friend of mine. We kind of grew up in the same atmosphere, and we drummed together playing. You know, I started out playing percussions like, you know, bongos and congas. We would gather and meet up at the Voodoo Lady's house. That's right. We would at the Voodoo Lady house, man, and we'd set a fire and we would play, and the rhythm would make the fire dance. And
well, they call it drum circles now.
That's what they call it, yeah. And it is, you know, drum circles are very spiritual. I went to one. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, everybody's giving their feeling inside of the rhythm.
It's amazing.
And there is no right or wrong. It's just a matter of feeling.
And I feel so good when we're done. It was like, I, even though I'm a drummer, and there's some people there who maybe have never touched the drum before, but even when experienced, I still walked away with a wonderful feeling. Yeah, it was awakening.
Tell us a little bit more about you, what you're playing and who you played with, and you know, your first gig to your gigging now.
Oh, wow. Wow.
We're going to get the cobwebs on?
Yeah, man, it goes way back. I mean, from high school, you know, we had little local bands. We would play in the local dances. And
What did you still in New Orleans in high school?
Oh, yeah, until I went into the military.
Okay.
I've never been anywhere else. The first time I ever left the city of New Orleans is when I went into the military, man.
When you say dance music, was it the rock and roll, or was it the bebop or the jazz? Or
It was do what you want. I mean, bebop, that was a term I've heard, but it was never, I wouldn't call it that. You know, we just call everything a good time, man. Just having a good time.
Well, I noticed that every time I've talked to you, always I could feel, if I didn't see you visually, I could feel a smile coming from you.
Just like right now.
Yeah. and that's a good thing. I mean, you know, it comes through who you are as a person in the spirit, but it comes through your playing.
Yeah.
And, you know, how you feel when you play, and you're just a happy spirit, and you project that into your playing. You're not concerned about right or wrong. I mean, you're in the music, and you're playing the music. And a lot of people get very technical, say, well, you don't play that, you're supposed to play this, and bye-bye, and all that stuff. But I think that if you're making the music feel good, and you're playing you and your voice, and everybody's smiling, you're doing the right thing, man.
I think you're right. I mean, it's there is no right or wrong, and the key word or phrase that you said a few minutes ago was making music, making music, making a joyful noise.
That's a good one. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it's even like playing fusion. I've played in gigs where we broke into a fusion, and really I had no idea what I was doing, but somehow those wrongs and rights, if that's what you want to call it, blended together, and we made music.
That's what it's called. Fusion is mixing.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, there is no right or wrong. It's just mixtures of music.
Yeah.
And you have it. All of a sudden, you found a place where you'd never been before, and it was working. It was making everybody happy.
Yeah.
That's a cool thing.
Yeah, and you can almost forget how to do it again, you know. That's how awesome it was.
Improvisation only comes once.
I like it.
Inside of a song until the next night, and you're doing something else. It's a very spiritual and emotional thing.
Yeah.
When you're playing, what I like your schooling as far as drumming is concerned, to sit down and actually visit somebody once a week is taking drum lessons. Before we were doing this video, we talked a little bit. You said you had no lessons that you would go to every week, but I think your life was a lesson in New Orleans, because just watching and listening and the availability of just to go play it immediately.
Yeah,
that's got to be a gift.
It was more than a gift. It was a lifestyle, man. It was a lifestyle for me and my friends to play music. It was something we did every day. You know, a lot of people I know now, they say, they want to talk about football. I'll watch a game, but I would rather play music. In fact, most of the time, I am playing music.
I second that.
Yeah, tonight's Monday Night Football, but I'm going to be at an open mic night playing music.
And having a good time.
That's what I like.
The thing about playing is, people who don't play don't understand. When you sit down to play, you're in a very special place.
Yes.
And that place is spiritual, and it's there. Whenever you can play, I always recommend to everybody, just play. I'd rather sit down and play with a big band instead of staying home or go to stay home and watch football on TV or go to a football game. But hey, everybody does what they want to do.
Yeah, it's your life.
Yeah, and playing to me is like the ultimate gift of my life.
Yeah.
And whoever plays, that's the way it should be. It's like, we're talking about right and wrong and, learning this discipline or that discipline. And like you said, just making the music is the joy of the whole thing. And in reality, you can learn all the technical things that you want. You can learn this is the way it should be done, this is the way you shouldn't be. There are some parameters you need to maintain so you don't develop any physical problems,
Yes.
hurt when you play, especially as a drummer. But the whole thing is just to have fun, create, and smile, and be peaceful.
Yeah, there's I think it is important to know the technical aspects of playing drums. As you mentioned before, there are certain things that I had to train myself to do so that I wouldn't injure myself, because if you're playing and then after the gig you're sore, or you're hurting for, say, like I remember I used to squeeze my sticks, and my fingers and my wrists, everything would be hurting, and I didn't understand that. But as time went on, and guys like you teaching, I learned finger control, wrist control. I learned not to do those things that was injuring me.
Right, it's controlling the sticks. You want to avoid carpal tunnel syndrome.
Yeah,
or tendonitis.
Right.
You want to be spiritually relaxed when you play.
Right.
So you're in the music, and there is no right or there is no wrong when you're playing. You're having a conversation with the people you're playing with and the tune that you're playing.
Yes.
And that's a beautiful place to be.
Yeah, I rather enjoy it. I've played many gigs. I'm playing with a great band right now, the Cosmic Cousins Trio. Two great guys I'm playing with, and when we play, you're absolutely right. We're having a conversation in the music language.
Right.
I noticed that, because we're talking to each other and answering, and I enjoy that, man.
Yeah, well, music, reading music, and playing music is an international thing. There is You know, if I went to another country, for example, and I went to, say, Brazil or Japan or whatever, and I did not know their language, I'd have a hard time socializing.
Yeah.
But as a musician, if I sat and played their music with them, I'm communicating with them better than me not knowing their language.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I was in Japan, and
boy.
I went to a nightclub, and I wound up on the stage, you know, because I'm drawn to it. And I played with some, you know, musicians that were there, and couldn't speak a word of the language, but we played the song.
And isn't that amazing?
It was great. I mean, it was as we played. Of course, we made eye contact, and I knew what we were talking about. We were talking about the music, the song we were playing. So I knew exactly what you're talking about.
You know, the international thing. You know, music is international. All right, some of it has their own ethnic approaches and whatever, and that's a different issue. You know, one thing that I have never done was stereotype people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure, I want to believe that America has really grown. It has to a certain point, but it hasn't. And unfortunately, you know, that issue evolves. If you feel uncomfortable about me talking about that part. But what I think is, you know, it would actually be easier for a guy like me to develop in the music field as opposed to someone who is of a different origin or color, you know, growing up. Nothing to do with me, but that's the way society dictates it.
I understand.
And I think that's total nonsense.
Right.
Okay. You're stereotyped because he is of another color, he can play soulfully, or he plays only rhythm and blues. You know? Hey, give your take on how you feel about that.
I don't see that being so, because, I mean, look at the guys like Steve Gadd, David Wicke. These guys are awesome.
Uh-huh.
They don't look like me.
Okay.
So where would that come from?
Well, that's not the point. See, we know that.
Yeah.
But the other people say, well, you know, Billy Cobham. Where is he? Is he like a Native American who's black, or where's his origin? Where does he come from? Or Lenny White?
Yeah.
You know, these guys, they're not stereotyped. They're musicians. That's how they should be labeled.
Billy Cobham's a Panamanian.
I know where Billy comes from.
Yeah.
Billy's like a big influence in my life.
Oh, me too.
As he is with everybody else. He should be.
Definitely.
But just, you know, it's unfortunate, you know. Right? Oh, you play drums, huh? Oh, you play a lot of rhythm and blues, huh? You know,
I get that.
Yeah, I know you do.
And I'm a rock drummer.
Oh.
I'm a rock drummer. I play rock.
No Beatles.
No Beatles. That's not rock, or is it? Well, it doesn't matter.
It's music.
Does it?
It's music. I just think it's funny. People react differently. It's not because it's just that they don't know any better and they stereotype you. And that's their products of their upbringing.
Yeah, but you know, Matt, I love being around musicians because they don't see it that way.
Absolutely.
I'm appreciated because of what I do on my instrument versus what I look like, how tall I am, how short I am. It's at the end of the day, it's the joy that I bring to the table
with everybody,
and the other people that I meet. I feel the same way about them. When I see them, it's about the music. When they play the music, you know, and I just surround myself with people with that mental.
Well, I see from what I can see from you is that, you know, you project a positive kind of energy.
It's the only way to go.
Yeah, and by you doing that, 95% of the time you're going to get it back. Unfortunately, there's people who just can't deal with it, and that's that other 5% are just negative, and you kind of avoid them.
Can't see them.
But, you know, I don't regret where I was born or where I was brought up at.
You shouldn't.
But I know I shouldn't. But when somebody says New Orleans, because that's where it all started.
Yeah.
Man, I would have loved to be brought up in New Orleans?
The only difference between you and I is that I was born there, and I feel blessed that I was,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a great thing to be there. That's it.
Well, yeah. Well, I learned from everybody who's from there,
Yeah.
or who plays music that is from there.
I mean, where are you from, man?
Originally from
Yeah.
New Jersey.
And I tell you something. I've been in New Jersey for 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
What a great bunch of musicians up here, man!
Well, in New York,
Wow.
yeah.
I mean,
They all want to jump into the city, you know.
Yeah, so I'm just, that's why I've been here so long. I'm having such a great time. Look at it. I played with some guys, and you may have not even heard of them, but they're so awesome. I mean, I'm thinking
The guys
wow.
I probably never heard of, they don't really care about being heard of. All they do is care about playing the music.
I'm just saying, I don't care about being heard of. I mean, I appreciate you having me here and doing what we're doing now.
Right.
But it's okay if I didn't. I mean, maybe people know me, maybe they don't. But
Who cares?
at the end of the day,
Who cares?
I'm gonna go to bed with a big smile on my face.
That's a good one. I like that. Okay, well, anyway, getting back to that New Orleans thing is that I'm not jealous or envious. If I had to do it again, if it ever happened to me again, to be reborn, so to speak,
Yeah.
I would have loved to be born in there and experience what you've
Yeah,
experienced.
it was a lot of fun.
Who knows where I would have been today
Well.
with that kind of musical background. And it's just like kids here or most places, we're going to go play football, going to go play baseball. You're going to be second line, or you're going to play music all day.
Yeah,
Man, that's got to be a good
it
life.
was awesome, bro.
Well, anyway, because of the time element here, we're going to have to
Okay,
shut this up. But man, it was really sweet talking to you, man. And maybe we could do a video of you demonstrating some of your playing abilities.
sure, anytime, that'd be great.
Yeah. So because of the element of time and uploading and whatever, I need to stop this.
Okay,
But man, Ernest Johnson.
that's me.
Got to remember that name. I'm going to call you Mr. Happy.
I like it.
Okay.